Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and I'm here inside number 6 Cavendish with none other than Ajay Patel, sitting in front of what has to be the most significant collection of Trinidad humidors to literally exist in the world. For all of these humidors to be in one place together is really profound. Ajay, thank you so much for inviting me today and for opening up your incredible collection of vintage cigars and revealing these absolute gems here that we have in front of us today. So this piece is really tracing the beginning of Trinidad, the brand of cigars that we, of course, know as really one of the true greats of the Habanos portfolio, one of their, as I would call it, global flagship brands, really right alongside Cohiba. Mm-hmm. In many ways, I'd say, on par. And what is interesting about Trinidad is that it enjoys a mythical status that even amongst the Habanos portfolio is set aside. And that all begun in 1991 when Marvin Shanken, the editor of Cigar Aficionado, on his first trip to Cuba, visited the El Higuito factory where Cohiba had been rolled, as everyone knew, for, at that point, 30 years. Mm-hmm. And on that trip, he discovered that another cigar was being rolled alongside Cohiba in complete and total secrecy. And that was Trinidad. And so we've explored that story, but this today brings us to that next moment in Trinidad's history that in some ways was even more significant in changing everything. And that moment is this humidor. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us what we're looking at. This in many ways I think is probably one of the most intrinsically valuable humidors in existence.
Mm-hmm. As you said about the dinner of the century, which was based in Paris, this was the dinner of the century, the first time ever Cuba had done a dinner outside of Havana in Paris, where a lot of journalists, cigar lovers, retailers were invited. It's really exclusive because it's only a small restaurant. But what they wanted to do as well is they wanted to raise money for, I think it was either the Cuban Health or Charity for the Children in Cuba. So what they did was they sent over 10 cabinets of the Cohiba Pyramid, 10 cabinets of the Cohiba A, of 50s of each, but only 7 of the Trinidad Diplomat cabinet of 50. So this is one of the 7 that was at the auction.
Wow. And it's important to note that at that moment in time, Cohiba had already been launched as a global brand.
Yes.
It was available to collectors and to connoisseurs, but Trinidad was still only a myth. It had only been written about in that 1992 inaugural issue of Cigar Aficionado. No one outside of lucky diplomats, I guess, that received these as a gift of the Cuban government or Fidel had ever smoked one. Mm-hmm. And here they were, 7 cabinets being offered alongside Cohiba at this incredible auction. And I can only imagine just the excitement at that dinner. And really, if anyone truly comprehended what was really about to happen and how much would change after that.
Yes, and not just, they didn't just auction these off at the time, but it was the first time whoever was there at the dinner got to smoke this cigar.
Wow.
Because all the guests got offered a cigar on the night. This cigar.
So it wasn't one of the Cohiba A's.
It wasn't the Cohiba A. It wasn't the. I don't really know the full story, but I do know that this particular cigar
was smoked
by all the guests there. And if some of the guests never smoked that cigar at the time, can you imagine if some of these guys still had that cigar? As long as they kept it in a good condition.
Paid for the dinner.
Exactly. In today's date, yes, definitely. But because of this cabinet, the Trinidad was born. And we'll talk about the rest of the cigars in a minute. But let me just show you
please.
this cabinet. So as you see on top, you got Fidel Castro's signature on top, October something 1994. This is when the actual the dinner of the century was. And then inside, just to make it official, they had a certificate in there.
Wow.
So this is number 3 of 7.
So this size, the size of the Trinidad cigar is known as Lancero. Their blending and limited production are amongst the best kept secrets in the world of cigars. The holder of this box will enjoy the pleasure of smoking these cigars, not really, and it'll be a rare privilege worthy of the most demanding cigar lover. Wow.
Now, the length is still the same as the Fundadores, but the ring gauge is different. This is why it's known as a Trinidad Diplomat. This is a 38 ring gauge, and the Fundadores is a 40 ring gauge. It's just over 7 inches.
The Fundadores had not been launched at this point. This was
correct.
Literally the first time.
The first time that the world had got to see the Trinidad cigar. I mean, smell that.
I mean, still, after all these years, the aroma.
It's kept well as well, huh?
And again, we have these gold Trinidad brands.
Yep. The actual bands, if you notice, the actual gold is gold. And in the days where they used to use proper gold, with the humidity, it tarnishes or reacts,
Discolors.
so it becomes slightly greeny. In the world of cigars, in the world of rare cigars, this is probably super rare.
Yeah. I mean, it's a holy grail cabinet.
One of the holy grails.
And what I think is particularly profound about this is how important, pivotal of a role these 7 cabinets in that dinner, Trinidad's inclusion, played in Trinidad ultimately in 1998 being offered as a boutique brand, as an official Habanos brand, of course, launching with the Fundadores. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit more about, again, the significance of this box, because it was the first time that they'd been smoked, that they had been really offered to the public, and not just the public, but these were the connoisseurs of connoisseurs. I mean, this was the top of the pyramid of cigar connoisseurs at this dinner. What was the reception?
I mean, the reception of this cigar after the dinner is, we want this. How comes we've never seen this? As a lot of retailers that were there, they started saying to their distributors, how comes this is not made? You know, how can we get Habanos to stop producing them? So the myth has become reality. So we know it exists, but how can we get this into the world? And it was just like, if I say to you, Kirby, I'm sorry, but you can't have that, you want it.
Yeah.
You want it more. Yeah? And so the wait was getting longer and longer and longer since 94 to 98. It's still quite a few, many years.
And everyone at that dinner was able to smoke it.
Yes.
Right? At this time, the Cohiba Lancero, the Liguito #1, was in the market. But how was this blend different? And what was it about the Trinidad, about this particular vitola and cigar, that gave it such a special status amongst connoisseurs? I mean, collecting is one thing, but Trinidad has always maintained a special regard as a connoisseur cigar.
Yes, and why Trinidad? You know, the town that it was made in, the Holy Grail, they call it. I can't remember the actual, the town name, La Santa Ciesa something, in Spanish, but in English it's the Holy Grail, or the Holy City. Hence they use the name Trinidad. It must have been that Fidel Castro enjoyed going to Trinidad itself. Nobody really knows the real reason why it was chosen as the Trinidad. What I hear is Fidel Castro's secretary, Celia Sanchez, who named the Cohiba, she was also the one named the Trinidad. So it was his secretary that named it. Obviously, the only people that got to smoke that cigar who were at the dinner. Myself, unfortunately, I was not there, but we wanted to know what this cigar is about. And this is many years after we were in the business that, you know, you get to hear about what was out there. And it's a complete different blend. Now that I've smoked the Fundadores, I've never smoked the Trinidad Diplomat. I haven't been fortunate enough.
Have you counted them? You sure there's
Oh, there's 50 in there. There's definitely 50 in there. But it's a complete different profile to your Cohiba profile. Cohiba is more richer, where the Trinidad, it's a milder, it's a more aromatic cigar. And knowing that after the Fundadores, one day we'll open this cabinet, okay? One day. Let's see. That one day can be a long time, okay?
It's on camera.
Because of the dinner of the century, once they presented this cabinet, the world got to see it for the first time.
And smoke it.
And smoke it, correct. But the only people that smoked it are the people who were there, luckily. Once that happened, is the demand got crazy. We want this as the commercial side of it. So, you know, I reckon the push, the pressure on Habanos saying we need this on the market, obviously with Marvin Shanken doing the publication as well. And I think it wasn't a short story. I think it was quite a few pages of this in the Cigar Aficionado magazine. Do you have the magazine?
Not that issue.
I have it. Yeah. I'll dig it up. I'll send a copy to you, yeah?
Please.
Good read. In there, because they talk about the dinner, the cigars, the Trinidad, the myth cigar, we wanted it more. We wanted it with the push of it. And obviously in 1998, when they announced it, that Habanos is bringing out the Trinidad Fundadores, which was like, wow, that was something else. And I will add a bit of note to that as well. I was at El Higuito when they were making this cigar. So I saw these being rolled, not knowing what they were. And in one of the rooms where the boxes were stacked up, this is when I saw these boxes, empty. Empty. But in those days, you have that click camera. You don't have the phones then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in one of my old cameras I do have a picture somewhere, piled up, and you'll have the date stamp on the camera, 1998, of these boxes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so whenever the Trinidad Fundadores was launched, they changed it a little bit, right? It wasn't an exact replica.
And Habanos said that we will bring out a Trinidad, but it will not be the same size. This length will be the same, but the ring gauge will not be the same as the Diplomat.
Which is a 38.
Which is a 38. So this is why they brought out the Trinidad Fundadores as the 40 ring gauge.
Okay.
And funny, it's the first time ever they brought out a cabinet of 24. And we're thinking, why 24? Because there's always been 50 or 25 or box of 10s. But they decided to do 24. Still to this day, no idea why. So
it's a very distinctive shape.
Very, very distinctive shape, you know, with 24 cigars in it. And then which they still make. The 24s they still make.
Exceptionally hard to come by.
And then you have the 50. Now 50 obviously is discontinued. And to find cabs of 50s is pretty hard.
When did they discontinue the cabinet of 50?
Cabinet of 50s, I want to say 2004.
Okay. So not long after that. Could we peek inside that?
Let's have a look, shall we?
Wow. So the same gold band. They hadn't redesigned it yet.
Correct. Now, there is a but. There is a but. So when we say the same gold band, the gold is slightly different.
Okay.
Naked eye, you can't tell. But if you look at the way this has tarnished, this hasn't tarnished. Yeah? Some people keep at their humidor very high humidity and it tarnishes really quickly. But if you keep it at correct temperature, steady all the time, it will prevent the tarnishing. Yeah? So obviously this is the very copy of the original Diplomat.
Yeah. And so of course, you were, at this point, quite well established in your business.
Yes.
Whenever the Fundadores launched in '98, what was its reception?
I was at the dinner. I was at the dinner in Havana, in Cuba, and they announced the Trinidad Fundadores that it's released. And everybody received one cigar of this to smoke on the night. I don't remember it, smoking that cigar, because it was just like, wow.
So they launched this in 1998. You were at the dinner.
Yeah.
What was its reception in its first few years?
The reception for the first few years, everybody wanted this cigar.
But what was it that amongst collectors, connoisseurs, that made the Fundadores stand out and for which it still stands out today?
Yes. It was that mythical cigar that was not known, then got to known because of this dinner of the century. And then when they released it, and it was a new brand in the Habana's portfolio. And by being a new brand on the portfolio, and especially as a Lanceros, it's like, wow, what is this?
Because other than the Cohiba Lanceros,
Yes.
this was the only
Other
Lanceros as a
Vitola
part of
that they made
portfolio.
at that time.
Yeah.
Because you have other Lanceroses which were discontinued.
Okay. So whenever you think of the Trinidad Fundadores, what is it that makes them stand out to you from the entire portfolio of other phenomenal Havana cigars?
For me, it's that slender of the cigar. Being a 40 ring gauge, a lot of people think they can smoke that cigar really fast, but you can't. The cigar makes you slow down. By having a 40 ring gauge, you can only smoke it slowly to understand the flavors of it. Trinidad has a super unique profile. It has this cedary, floralness to it. It's because it's got a lot of Seco in it. And Seco ages really well over the years. If you smoke a new Fundadores to a 98 Fundadores, you will see the profile difference. And this is what, once you have the flavor notes on this, you will understand the cigar.
I mean, it is an exceptionally delicious cigar. I mean, the few that I've had the privilege of smoking, I mean, were dreams. And I would imagine that it was that blend, that format, combined with the significance of the Trinidad name to the culture and history of Cuba, with the mythical history.
Definitely. It's that myth people read about, hear about, and when they know they can get hold of one, it's like, I need to try this. Yeah, I need to try that history, and now that cigar is still made still,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. I mean, even to this day, it's very hard to get hold of.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and especially these old gold band
Yes.
Fundadores and the Cabinet of 50. Everything's better than a Cab of 50.
Cabinet of 50. Look at this.
May I?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, the subtleties.
The subtleties. But you know, I always say to people, never judge a cigar by the smell, because a cigar can give you zero smell to it whatsoever, as long as it's kept well until you light it up. Once you light it up, you'll say, wow, this is an amazing cigar. If you just go by the smell and you think the cigar's dead, no, don't do that. I've learnt my lesson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what about these humidors we have behind us? Because, I mean, this was the beginning
Yes.
for Trinidad.
This was the beginning of the Trinidad. And then as time went on, Trinidad, what they did is they bought out the farmhouse. The farmhouse, originally it was launched in Hong Kong and UK, the two markets that they launched it in. I can show you that it wasn't just the...
May I set these back here?
Let me just show you this. They call it the farmhouse. So, as I said, there was two markets that were launched. It was in Hong Kong and the UK. The exact number hasn't been released, but far as I think, it was only 100 pieces that was made. But what they did here is they put a special cigar in here, the Trinidad Robusto Especial.
Really?
So it's a larger cigar, This is the first time they ever made a larger Trinidad. There's only 10 and 10.
So this is prior to 2003 with the release of, or the expansion of the portfolio.
Yes, yes. Prior that.
So this was the second
This is the
Vitola.
second.
Wow.
This is the second. The Fundadores was the second Vitola that they released in the farmhouse first.
And this wasn't an auction humidor. This was offered.
This was not. This was offered to all the retailers.
And it's a beautiful piece of work, of course, symbolizing.
Yes, very rustic.
Yeah.
Because the whole humidor is made in Havana by an artist. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of the artist, but we like the rusticness of it. And then what Cuba did is, as the La Casa de Habano franchise holder, they make the book collection, which started in 2001. And in 2006, they released the Taros Ignacios book collection. But they only made 500 books. This was only released to the La Casa de Habano franchise holders. The reason they call it the book collection is that when you have the full range in a walk-in humidor stacked up, it's like a book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see it, it's just like a book until you open it up. And they started doing these little booklets, very, as I keep saying, rustically made. It gives you the information on what new Vitolas have been released on the market.
So the Fundadores, the Coloniales, the Reyes, the Robusto Extra. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And this is the Taros Ignacios. And visit the town, Trinidad, like you have. You got the church there. Mm-hmm. And atop the church is the steeple, which is called the Taros Ignacios. Because of that, they named the cigar.
Wow. Those are still very aromatic.
Very aromatic. That's again because of the seco. The seco, in all Trinidad range, they use a lot of seco. That's the whole reason of this cigar. It's not about the strength. It's about the flavor of the cigar. The seco brings out the sweetness of it, the aromatic, the herbalness, and that's what you can smell from it.
Wow, it's astounding.
And they only made 500 books. Now, all new releases they make 3,000 books.
Okay.
So 500 worldwide release, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. So moving on from that, they made, came the 40th anniversary of Trinidad. So they decided So obviously it's the 40th anniversary of the Trinidad brand. So thinking, what can we bring out for the 40th? Luckily, as a La Casa Habano franchise holder, they bought out this humidor. And they released this beautiful, greeny looking humidor with Trinidad. And they only made 400 humidors worldwide. And they always have a plaque on the side. But they released a new size, the Cañonazo, with 40 cigars inside it.
That is gorgeous.
Isn't it? So this is to celebrate 40 years of the Trinidad.
And we're coming up on the 55th anniversary.
Let's see what they're making. So Kirby, this is the latest Habanos release, the book collection. The one that we saw earlier, that's the Serie A release. This is a Serie B release. And all Serie B release are even bigger than the first release. So the Taros Ignacio you saw was big. Mm-hmm. When you see the Casilda, it's even bigger. So released in 2019, didn't hit the market until late 2020/21. Notice how high gloss they've gone compared to what you saw rustic on the first one. There you go, look at this.
Look at those beauties, wow. I've never seen a Trinidad that large.
Even big.
I mean, it has to be the
Yes.
largest. I mean,
This
it
is the
largest.
This is the largest they do. Yeah. And they
Again,
made 3,000 books.
3,000.
This was the first book ever that they did 24. So generally, they only put 20 sticks in the book collection. This is the first time Habanos ever did 24 sticks. Don't ask me why, but I think what they wanted to do is to replicate the Fundadores 24 into the book collection as 24.
Wow.
So there you go. Now we just look forward to the few more new Vitolas going to hit the market this year.
Yeah. Wow, AJ. I mean, wow, thank you. I mean, this is truly probably one of the most significant collections of Trinidad cigars in the world.
Yes.
And what a privilege and honor to be able to see one of these original cabinets of 50 that were released in the 1994 dinner. In some ways started it all.
Yes.
And then kind of walking through really all of the limited edition humidors and books and releases. I mean, the really significant ones of Trinidad's history. So
it's stunning. Before we finish, Kirby, I got one more up my sleeve.
Okay.
Which is
always something interesting here.
Super stunning and very rare as well.
Even more.
Even more. Let me show you this. This is the Humidor. 1998, late 1998 to 99. They made only 150 of these with 70 Fundadores inside. This is rare. Yeah, stunning. Now just smell this.
That is unbelievable.
Isn't it?
Wow. 70.
70.
And who is it signed by? I see that it's
So this is signed by Abel, who was the original Partagas manager of the old Partagas shop. Mm-hmm. And this is signed by the maker who made this humidor. The gentleman who made all 150 humidors, this is his signature.
That's incredible. I can't think of anything more glorious than 70 Trinidad Fundadores from, the original release. I mean, AJ, I admire your self-discipline and not smoking any of these cigars because I would be worried about myself sleepwalking in the night and overindulging. But this is incredible. I mean, one of the things that I'm in constant awe is the history and the tradition, so beautifully exemplified by Habanos cigars. I mean, stretching back literally to the beginning of the cigar in the 18th century.
Yes.
And it's that uninterrupted tradition that has aggregated and continued in Cuba, continuing today to cultivate the world's best tobacco.
Yes.
Rolled these absolutely magnificent cigars that leaves me just awestruck at the history, the heritage, and the incredible work of the Cuban people.
100%. It's that mystique what Cuba has. And it's this, when they bring out items like this, like, wow, we whinge and we nag and we this and we that about Cuba, but we love Cuba.
Yeah.
We love Cuba.
Well,
we love what the Habanos produces, just love it.
Yeah, I mean, as they say, it's the terroir, the history,
correct,
and the people.
100%.
And
that what makes it.
Those three things together, the sum is truly greater than the parts.
Yes.
Yeah. AJ,
100%.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Thank you.
I mean, what
I'm sorry you can't smoke any of this, but now you know I've got all of these. I need to move them out of here.
Yeah, you'll have to make it. You'll have to make it up to me.